Did you get in trouble for that?
He gave me the $8,000.
That's very good.
But anyway, we also had, one time, we had a strike. Oh, dear, heavenly days. I inherited that. I think it was the second time I was back there. And 4 of our teachers, or 5 secular teachers, went out on strike with the other people. So, and we had been reduced in the number of monks we had to bare essentials, you see, practically. So I made out a whole new schedule. I shortened the day to 12 o'clock so we could avoid lunch.
Right. Oh, okay.
The cafeteria was just closed.
Right.
And I got everything in I was taking some classes. Some of the other brothers volunteered to take the classes, and some of the secular teachers stayed with us, but they would not take any extra classes.
All right. Okay.
You can understand that. And likewise, coaches and assistant coaches for secular community, they would not do anything. They wouldn't go on strike, but they would not take any classes.
Okay.
Except the athletic director, who was a clod. I can't remember his name. You're not going to sue me. Anyway, I assigned him to a cafeteria full of kids, just to stay with them, and give them a study period. But the cafeteria, he didn't do anything. And of course, the newspapers are always trying to find out what's going on in Catholic schools with this strike going on and so forth. So they interviewed, I think the one kid in the whole school had the lowest IQ.
Of course, they always do that.
They interviewed him, and he said, yeah, we do nothing but sit around and we do this and, play games. Oh, I was furious. Anyway, one of the poor parents phones me up. She says, well, now that your schedule is only till half day, shouldn't we pay only half tuition? I said, lady, if you'll give me your name, I'll have your son's transfer on my desk tomorrow morning. She hung up. Anyway.
How did you survive the strike?
We did quite well, as a matter of fact. But things, I say quite well, but things, they got back to school. Mm. But were never really as friendly as they used to be.
Oh, that often happens.
And there was an antagonism, not toward us,
right,
but toward the archdiocese.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
And they would say that, oh, sorry, brother, about that, but I can't do anything with you, everybody. So we had to get along without it. And then we were suffering from paucity, if you like, of brothers.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We weren't getting any extra ones coming in. Because the school was doing nothing for the congregation. Oh, that was the other thing. We were supposed to split the money between the congregation and the brothers. I mean, the headquarters. Mm. Well, we used to have a raffle before the bazaar. Mm. And we were supposed to take the raffle money and they would get the bazaar money, or we would get the bazaar money and they take the raffle. After a while, that agreement disappeared. got kind of misty. Guess who got the lion's share? It wasn't the it wasn't the archdiocese anyway. Because I think it was Sel Penny. He said, what happened to all the money we're supposed to get? We're supposed to get half of that money and so forth like that. And I said, brother, we had to split it, so forth. So since he insisted, I gave him the money and didn't give the archdiocese.
No, he was the prince. He was the provincial.
Yeah. I had a problem within the community itself. Mm. And so I called the House Council. Uh-huh. Meeting, and we sat down and we talked about it and so forth, and this was nice. And they said, well, why don't you contact the provincial and tell them what the score is and so forth like that. I got on the phone that Sunday morning and I contacted the provincial house. Was here, and I spilled the whole thing, spilled my guts, as it were, to the provincial. Told them all the things that were happening and so forth, and what our House Council had advised me to do. So he says, he says to me, "What's the necessity of this phone call?" After I just told him what was going on, he says, "Central may be listening."
Oh.
I was going to say, this is not the Middle Ages, brother. But
Central. Now, you were superior and principal,
Yeah,
because in those days you didn't have separation of principal and superior. You were both.
Yeah.
Which was,
I don't understand.
okay. In other words, as time went on, you had a person who was in charge of the brothers
Like the
in
permission.
the house.
No,
Oh,
In the
Just the
individual house.
Okay.
the superior of the
He
house.
was the superior, what's called superior of the house. But you had a different person who was principal, which made a whole lot of sense because I don't know how.
Too much for one person?
Too much for one
Oh,
person.
yeah.
Because you
Typical.
and you had to try to separate school business from house business,
yes.
which it was very hard to do if you were in
You had
charge
to
of
fight yourself
if
for
you were in
funding.
charge of both. I mean, it was ridiculous. I guess it was somewhere in the late 60s, early 70s, somewhere. They started to separate the two
The jobs,
two
right,
jobs,
yes.
and it made a whole lot of sense, except in places where they didn't necessarily put two people who were compatible. Sometimes
That's true.
there were times when they would have a principal and a superior who weren't exactly
Did not see eye
do
to
not
eye,
see
as
eye
it
to
were.
eye, as it were.
And one of them was cross-eyed or whatever.
Rudy, how did you do it? How were those days for you? Were they?
Oh.
Were they very rough, or
Just,
did you do?
no, they're just delightful. I had a wonderful community of brothers and a good staff of secular teachers, and we got along fine.
So what could have been a disaster? What you actually?
Well, no,
enjoyed?
that was the first time. I went back the second time, and that's when we had the strike, the second time.
Okay.
But I was there for only 2 or, I think it was 2 years the next time, because actually the provincial asked me to take over for a brother who was leaving the job.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'd rather not, but he said, well, Al Houlihan suggested you, because Al was with me when we were there first. So I said, well, okay, I'll take it for him.
Right.
So I got it for 2 more years, and that was,
Yeah. Well, that would have been the mid-60s, right?
let me tell you in a minute. I wrote it down. Well, let's see, it was,
I hope your picture's in there.
Oh, yes. It's on the front.
Excellent.
1976 to 78.
Oh, so it was the 70s. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. All right. So you were there in the 60s, and then you came back in the 70s.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Where were you in between those?
Okay. Well, here's where my score is altogether. St. Cecilia's School, 1943 to 45, 2 years.
Okay. All right.
All Hallows Institute. Don't make me laugh.
And Country Club.
I can't read with them.
We'll be very serious.
Besides, these glasses are not too good. They get misty. Cardinal Farley Military Academy in Rhine Cliff, New York.
Oh, I didn't know
From
you were there.
1948 to 49, 1 year.
Okay.
Then I was professed.
Okay.
Then I was sent to Cantwell High School, Montebello,
Okay.
1949 to 1965, at which time, the 59 to 65 I was principal.
Right.
Anyway, next then, St. Lawrence High School in Burbank, Illinois,
Oh, yes. Okay.
1965 to 71.
Okay.
St. Patrick's High School in Vallejo,
Oh, yes, of course.
from
Well,
1971 to 1976.
Okay.
Then back to Cantwell High School
Oh, okay. Now I'm getting the
for
picture.
2 more years,
Yeah.
1976 to